what does success look like? And Ravi, let's start with you. Like, what does success look like for that individual who's in the brand that's launching something like this?
It feels like it depends on the individual, right? Because you could be asking for feedback, or you could be engaging, but for different reasons. As Mark said, it could be asking for a review, but you also could be just processing the same review or maybe asking for feedback. Regardless, even if it's the same review, you might be looking at it from, okay, I'm looking for reasons why my product is good or bad, which is very different than I'm asking for a review because I want that review to lead to further downstream sort of clicks or essentially conversions, right? So one's a sales perspective, the other one's a product perspective in this particular case. So I think success might, in a broad, I guess an expansive answer to that would be, at the very top level, success would look like the ability to get authentic feedback, drive more, I guess, sales, if for the lack of a very generic term, but also get that intelligence that allows you to improve your service, but potentially also offer new products and services that you might not have thought, right? So, and there also could be opportunities to become more efficient, so there might be an efficiency and a cost angle to those. So, I mean, those are, I think, the three sides of what I would be looking for if I were running a company and I was trying to run a program. But often what we find, I think, is typically these programs are run at the department level, and each of those department heads might have only a subset of that in sort of their purview. But as a company enabling the brand to employ this, I think it's our job should be to educate our customers on the totality of what's possible, right, and drive it higher up the sort of the chain of command to extract the most value. Because, I mean, maybe last thing I'll say here is, every interaction you do with a customer is expensive. It's expensive not from a cost perspective, but you engage them once, you probably can't engage them for again, the next week, right? So if you're going to maximize what you get out of the engagement, having the broadest possible perspective of what you're trying to get out of that seems like a logical thing to do, as opposed to just sort of a departmental thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at just from a couple data points, I would be looking at it from, am I seeing my opt-out rate go down? I want less opt-outs. From a customer retention loyalty standpoint, you want that person to engage and stick around, but don't you dare send them something that's not contextual to them. It's not personalized, right? They're going to opt out over time. And then on the referral side, because we have all this modern technology and we're giving them some easy tools to use to share from a customer-led growth model, I would hope that there would be a lot more referrals that you can look for. And if the tech is good and it makes it easy for that referral, the person receiving that link, say, to take action, you would see not just an uptick on the happy customer making a referral, but then the engagement side of it. What did they do? Did they buy something, like you're saying? Did they click and like fill out something? Did they talk to an AI? That would be great. So there's so many different data points, but I think those are the two: is less people opting out, meaning retention and loyalty is growing, and you're getting more referrals happening with more action on the other side of that.
I think for me, the C-suite of a kind of maybe one of our customers, I think for me, success would be breaking down those walls between the departments. Because I think in reviews, there's probably a lot of people that gave great reviews, but maybe didn't know about the referral program. There are people that actually refer people that are probably great review candidates, just to give an example. And so the question that I have is, how much data harvesting could these companies do to actually accelerate the revenue growth, just by kind of breaking down maybe those pillars between kind of those two departments? I think the revenue kind of falls out of that. I do think it is costly. Like if you look at the SMS or the emails that people are just firing to people that they probably shouldn't be, or just like not leveraging the data to know when to do it intelligently. Like it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're doing it on thousands and thousands and you're doing it in a non-intelligent way, so you have all of that infrastructure or system cost that you're spending for, and then you make that customer upset that after spending all that money, they opt out and you've lost that customer completely. So I actually think the cost of that these companies are incurring is probably very significant. And I think sometimes we think of like when we look at the cost of one single SMS or one single email, I think we're not looking at it in terms of, okay, well, it's not just one email, it's not just one SMS. And then what's the cost of that customer getting so frustrated that they opted out? And what's the acquisition cost of getting a new one? I think it's probably a lot higher than most companies think today.
Yeah, Mark, I can really appreciate how you're saying break down the silos inside of a large corporation.
Yeah.
All the departments are talking. I mean, from an operational standpoint, I can see why you're saying that. Sometimes I forget about that, but in some of the larger corporations I've worked with or worked for, it is shocking how the different business units aren't looking at the same metrics or getting the same information and not acting as one team.
Yeah, even the finance teams, like I think one of the big attributes, and we've like kind of evolved in terms of how we look at it, right? Like I think for finance people, kind of understanding those conversion metrics, and like you just can't look at marketing spend as one bucket, and it's like, well, what did this one contribute versus that one? Like, do you actually understand how the dollar flows through the system and when it flows through the system, right? Like referral is more back ended that you really almost have to have a sale, right, before you kind of pay out a commission or what have you not. Whereas if you're doing a paid ad strategy, there's a lot of money that goes out the door front, and then it's kind of the law of averages out the other side. And I think even like we talk about kind of cross-functional within the marketing org, but I would say that there's similar challenges between, I would say, even departments external to it, to understanding kind of how to get companies to grow and actually leverage the data that they have to have these meaningful conversations to therefore kind of generate additional revenue. And I think, the finance teams really, I think, do need to be involved in these conversations as well, because I think how they look at it is maybe a little bit obsolete today, especially with so much more data available that it's not hard to model these things out now.